Go with the fucking program. It's not about ice cream today. We're talking about. What are we talking about? Oh
Ourselves
yeah,
again, because this is about our
so-
egos.
yeah.
Welcome to Same Ish Different Day, a space where the thoughts are just as
Anything.
Welcome to Same Ish Different Day, a space where everything is on the table and the thoughts are just as frenetic as your Twitter feed. And just like your feed, we kick it off with some talks on some bullshit of the day, and eventually bring you some value with well-cited research on stories you may have missed.
Yeah, this show is the long-term format of marching into madness. A duo of journalists that are developing a content project about their passions. So get ready for that. Some weeks our strange wine mom drops by to keep us in line, but she's been missing for a little bit, so we don't know what's going on with that.
But
The line, please. But she recently went out for milk and a pack of bogeys, but at least that's what she told us, so we assume she's going to be back anytime now.
oh, and socials were on all of them. TikTok, IG, YouTube, and Twitch, where we live stream these podcasts on a weekly basis. If you tune in, you can ride out with us afterwards.
Speaking of which, the future variant of this idiot will introduce us in 3, 2, 1, and then you just bring up the zip.
What's up, internets? Welcome to Same Ish Different Day, the podcast with a name we were smart to stop saying. This week, we wanted to talk about everything and nothing. We wanted to actually talk about debating about the creative conflictions between like creator and creation and how you keep yourself motivated. Also, we got a touch of news for you today. I wanted to talk about how Dilbert dabbles too much. And Raza's going to give you some Adin Ross updates. If any of you on the podcast know who that is, so we're going to try to inform you of that. And a few extras. We also someone came back from Milk, Raza. Who came back from Milk?
It's our resident mother, Anne.
Say hi, Mom. You don't love us? What's happening?
I didn't know that I was being introduced.
Well,
And obviously I failed, boys, because who says milk instead of milk?
It's
Bailey,
Milk,
this
bro.
word's weird.
No, it's milk,
Milk.
not milk. There's no E in milk. You lined that one up. That was too easy. Oh my god.
Oh gosh. Okay. So speaking of that, we wanted to talk about keeping it fresh, right? So Wine Mom may have interesting takes on this, and I'm interested for the motherly advice. But we wanted to talk about what are things that you do on a personal level that inspire you to create content or whatever form of art it is that you do, i.e., social media, blogs, sharing them photos, sharing your rippity raps. On top of that, how do you stay consistently inspired so it doesn't burn you out? Wine Mom, we are asking this because keeping things fresh and innovative can be a full-time job. So how does one balance themselves?
Well, my relationship with content creation is just pure chaos because it's either I am making an absurd amount of content of all different degrees, or I'm severely isolated and I do nothing but have anxiety.
That's very real
I
for
don't
people,
know.
though. That's like a lot of people operate that way.
Yeah. I mean, I've been gone for so long from this. I think if you're asking me what I do to keep myself creative or to like spark creativity, go outside. Like
That's
legit. I know that sounds like so cliche and stupid cuz that's like what everybody says. But I would suggest work on your codependency because I know for a fact there's a person or a thing or a habit that you're codependent on. So work on that and go outside. Like literally, it's gonna sound so stupid. Take your cell phone. I don't care if you're the world's shittiest cell phone. Take your cell
Mm-hmm.
phone with your cell phone camera. Go outside and literally just like take pictures of stuff. Because I'll say in this last year, I have spent a lot of time learning how to use my phone better and taking just really good pictures and videos out in nature and like adding songs to them and like just being a total like loser with my content. And like it's been nice to
Mm-hmm.
just like take nice photos of things and post them even though nobody cares, but I care. It just gives me like motivation and helps me feel creative again.
You got to create art for art's sake, you know?
Well, it's like I don't know if I've ever said this before podcast, but I heard this once in a TikTok actually, where people were talking about in our lives, there's always like a time where we're like, I have a goal of being this way or being this person. So it's like, for instance, let's say you're like, I want to get up every day at 6 a.m. and go to the gym. I don't know why you'd want to do that. If you want to be a psycho like Bailey, then go for it. But like, let's say that's your goal. Okay. You're like, I want to get up every day at 6 a.m. to go to the gym. Are you going to start tomorrow and get up every single day at 6 a.m. and go to the gym? Probably not. But if you go 2 or 3 times out of that week, that's amazing. And it's like people need to realize that you're practicing to become the person you want to be. Does that make sense? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you want to be a 6 a.m. person, then you do that 3 or 4 times a week so that your body can start to adjust because you're practicing and creating a new routine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be perfect at doing that right away.
I agree with a lot of those concurrent themes, right? You need to make sure that you're creating for yourself either way. If you're driven to a creative field, part of the things that you can get stuck in, whether you're doing it professionally or as just something that you want to be a part time hustle, you could be a blog writer, whatever it is like you need to make sure that just like you're exercising your body to be an athlete, that you're engaging with that side of yourself in a comfortable state where you don't
Yeah.
have to do it under pressure. And that's something that a lot of people will neglect.
Yeah. I mean, this is a thing because like I talk to a lot of people about because I've had a lot of I've had a lot of things that I've started and stopped and things that I've failed at and all different kinds of things in my life. And people are always like, I don't know how to like start something and what if I fail or what if it's this or what if it's that? It's like, but what if it's not though? Like that's the thing is like what if
Mm-hmm.
it's not? I don't know if it's that it's our generation per se. Like I don't want to say that it is because as far as I'm concerned, we are the best gen, but maybe there's something in our generation that's just so realistic that we're so pessimistic that we miss out on so many opportunities that could be successful because we're like we're probably going to fail, but what if we fail? It's likely we'll fail.
I have a
Mm.
question for you, my mom. So when your podcast was starting to take off, did you feel like um it was more of a necessity rather than a need, or like you had to do it less than you wanted to?
I think what happened is the pressure
Right.
because we had an episode that in our opinion was like absolutely absurd that we got to that point. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
so for the just for context sake, we got to interview a victim of a crime who lived locally in Toronto, wouldn't talk to anybody, wasn't interested in talking to anybody, but asked specifically to be interviewed by us, which was crazy for us because we're just like our podcast was so small at the time.
Mm.
But I guess because of me being in Toronto, it picked up a little bit of traffic that way. But it almost like put so much pressure on us that we were like, how do we get like where do we go from here? Like how does it get better than this? And then, life started to get in the way of things. So it's like I wouldn't say it became like a job for us because it definitely didn't feel that way. And we still talk about how much we miss doing it and wish we could keep doing it. Um, but it's just that the pressure just got to us, I think.
I was gonna talk about this after in our more loosey goosey sessions, but it's like the apathy of the information age. Like I think a lot of people are feeling that way because, like, bro, every day we're watching some. Raza's gonna talk about Adin Ross, some 17-year-old, and all of a sudden this kid is now gone to the dark side and influencing impressionable young youth, and we're sitting here like, bro, just give us 10 viewers, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I think that apathy that a lot of creators, and I think it happens in all fields, because you could be a cosplayer and then you go on Twitter and look at how many other retweets that the other models are getting versus your 10. You know, it's you're immediately reminded of how low on the goddamn totem pole you are.
See, I feel like it, in a weird way, maybe I'm just a jerk in this sense. But I don't feel that way when I see somebody like Adin Ross being successful, regardless
Yeah.
of what his content is. I really don't give a shit what his content is. But it's
Mhm.
like, to see him successful, that doesn't make me feel like I couldn't be successful. Truth be known,
True.
I feel sorry for like him. And I say that because when you start so young and you get such a large amount of popularity, your career can be shortened so easily by mistakes, especially when you're so young and you make big mistakes.
Yeah, so to like pull it back and focus on like the creative, like what keeps you consistently inspired and ready to go, right? Like that's a big deal right there, like that self-confidence to look at that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do. I do kind of agree with you, but then how do you identify your independence from that? How do you, like, why do you feel that you can just not care about it?
I think it has to do with the type of creators that I've watched over the years. Let me use, okay, I know you're gonna make fun of me for this, but let me use Markiplier as an example. He has been doing this for an extreme time. He's been doing it since he was young into his older age. I think Mark has finally gotten to a place with his content where everything is perfect. Like, it's perfect. His content is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that that comes with age, and that comes with learning, and
But
okay, go ahead. What's your question?
like I'm trying to separate it from like necessarily a talk of like, I'm trying to look at us. I'm trying to have
Yeah.
like an introspective talk,
Okay, so I
you
think
know?
that we collectively are at places in our lives where we've had real life experiences. Like, real, like, we've
That's
all worked
okay.
jobs, we've all been fired, we've all been homeless to some degree, we've had to go back to our mommies and daddies, and like, we've had experiences in our lives that have caused us to fail tremendously. I mean, in my personal opinion, I've had experience that caused me to fail tremendously. When I thought, as I look back at my life at 20 years old, I was like, yeah, man, I'm successful for a 20-year-old. And I look at myself now and I'm like, I'm not as successful as I was at 20. And like, I've had that experience, that I'm mature enough now that whatever comes of this, I'm going to be grateful for. Whereas
Yeah,
somebody
like
like that, who's like, I've been successful from the jump, I can only accept success. It's like, you're setting yourself up for failure.
yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
these characters don't really know that like it's almost like a rich kid, right? Where
Yeah.
they don't have the same uh views of the world as the rest of us do. So like their expectations are different. So if they there's a person like Aiden Ross, he thinks he can do all of these things because of who he is. He thinks he has this immunity, but like in reality, it's the world that he lives in that is limiting his his behavior. So like and it's also like the people you surround yourself with, your experiences and whatnot. Like yeah, like what you're saying, going on. Like when you were 20, you were going this way, but then now you're going a different way. These characters are don't look at it that way because they haven't had the hardships that you've had. So they've always sort of like stayed true to, and they can stay true, but that's but that's like a double-edged sword, because what happens when things go south? They don't know how to adapt to that
Exactly.
situation, whereas we know through our experiences, through our parents' experiences, and whatnot. So
Hmm.
it's I think it's like we have the benefit of just knowing how
Yes.
to deal with these things rather
Well,
than
because
these twitch humors.
right, because here's the
That's
big
yeah.
thing that somebody like
Um,
him hasn't experienced yet and probably doesn't think he will and probably doesn't understand is
Hmm.
that every single person who is near the age of 30 has been extremely successful at some point in their life where they're like, yeah, man, I got this. And then they
Hmm.
plummeted into the depths of hell randomly. And
Yeah.
you're confused and you're scared and you're like, I'm an adult. How am I a failure? But I'm an adult. You like adults are supposed to be successful. And if you don't have that like catastrophic moment in your life, Bailey's
Hmm.
getting crazy over there. But if you don't
no,
have that
just
catastrophic moment in your life,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
cuz I don't think he understands it's coming. He's going to have catastrophic failure. It's inevitable in every
Yeah. Yeah.
life. Like
yeah.
it's going to happen and he's not prepared for it because he hasn't even had minor like real life experience of not being rich from sitting in front of his computer.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are you
I
gonna
was
say,
just
Bailey?
click
I know you're
because
freaking out.
no, it was just like you're so right. Like I was just thinking because at first I was thinking modern people. I was looking at like Kai Senate. I was thinking about like speed and all that. But then I started like going through the Rolodex and it's like yeah, you go all the way back to like a Shane Dawson. It's the same thing. This person grows up in this environment, doesn't has a severe lack of life experience,
Hmm.
immerses themselves in the like monetary aspects of the creativeness, and then their literal soul is lost before they're able to like be able to deal with any of the serious situations in a self-reflective manner.
Right.
So the twist on it, right, to
Mm.
reflect it back, because I'm totally with you. I'm just keeping
Mm.
convo rolling. Um, what if someone's listening to this
Yeah.
and they feel that maybe they belong in that category? What if they didn't have that tough a time? They grew up in a suburb, mommy and daddy
Mhm.
did okay, right? How
So
would
they
you
haven't had
advise
their
them?
failure?
Then they wouldn't be
Yeah,
listening to us because
you think
we
we
don't.
wouldn't appeal to them in any capacity?
Yeah, because we don't like. I feel like if you are a, in that sort of like lifestyle, you're going to be associating with things and people that have also brought, because ultimately we want to be relatable. And if a kid is brought up in the suburbs, we're not going to be relatable to that kid. We're going to be relatable to a
Well,
dude.
here's where I'll disagree with you. I'll disagree with you. I think Bailey has a point. I get your point, Raza. I agree with you. I see what you're saying because we wouldn't appeal to that demographic if that's not something they've experienced. Correct. That's what demographics and, trends are. You're correct.
Yeah.
However, from personal experience, I know, I have family that grew up not with no struggle at all. Kids,
Right.
they've never witnessed failure before.
Hmm.
And they are so much more interested in our life failure because they have no idea about it.
Okay.
They don't get it. They've never experienced it. They've never seen it. So, they're looking at us like, well, what do you mean you lived through that? That's crazy. And it's like, yeah, no, that was just how we survived. Like, that was just life. Like, and they don't have that same experience.
Hmm.
And so they
Hmm.
are curious and they are looking in. And so
Yeah. Okay.
to answer Bailey's question, right? If
Mhm.
there's somebody out there who has lived a privileged life and hasn't had failure, and I don't know, maybe they are 35 and they haven't experienced a catastrophic moment in their life. Just be prepared that should that moment ever happen, it's not the end, right? And as it's so easy when you're in that moment to be like, man, everything sucks. This is the worst. I give up. Because like, don't get me wrong, I am that person. Like I do live like I wallow in my shit because I get stuck in it and like I get it. But the reality is like you're gonna get past it. Like there's
Yeah,
gonna be a moment of success that's going to come you just kind of have to you have to feel the shit you're going, and you have to kind of be like, okay, fuck, like this sucks, but I just got to get through this and like look for your next opportunity, because
So
things get better. They will. It sounds so cliche to say, but like it will. Something will find you.
like I'm totally with you again. It's just something I've been like trying to wrap my head around in an endless circle. It's been like one of my biggest problems for several years in my weird brain always thinking about things though. Cuz
Yeah.
you're right. And that's the biggest thing is trying to reinforce even like I'm comfortable being straight up and calling it failure, but you can look at it as just something that didn't work. You know what I mean? You don't have to use such deep that you don't have to use such harsh wording all the time in case you're the type of person who can't handle it. But the biggest question I've been asking myself is how do you artificially teach that to someone though? Because what if, let's say, there's someone who went through life, they had everything they ever needed, they had a good little sister, they had a good sibling, they went to a good college, but they grew up in a diverse environment. They know a bunch of nice people. They know that their homies went through X, Y, and Z. They understand how the world works, but they were still spoon fed all the way up till when they were 40, and now they have $2 million, and they want to try to understand where to give it. But how would you teach that person all of those lessons, right? There's like someone can get a free pass through life to the point that they would never ever have to experience that failure. How do you teach them that lesson? Where would you even fucking start? It's been like a big
Well,
question that's blown my mind.
right. To what I would say to that is failure knows. So you might be lucky that you've made it that far, but life experience is what it is. Maybe it'll come to that person in a different context than something that we would experience as failure, right? Their failure could be that they put $100 in a stock and they lost $100, and that could be a catastrophic failure to them,
That's right. No,
right?
you're right. I'm being
So,
biased you're
well,
right. You're
you're
right.
not being biased, but I see your point, though, right? But what
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
is, failure will find you. You can have as much of a life as you like, but failure will find you. I mean, look at Elon, for instance, right? He was
Yeah.
doing so great, and he's like how old now, and everybody thinks he's a joke. So,
Yeah, because like, I don't know. I'm being hopeful in the scenario that it's like, oh, someone gets to that point, but they're open minded enough to be like, oh, but I don't know shit about life. I would like to,
volunteer.
you know,
That's my answer.
exactly.
That's my answer.
That's kind of what
Look,
it comes down to for
legitimately,
me, too.
it's crazy to say. It's crazy to say because people are like, "What? Volunteer at a homeless shelter?" Yeah, volunteer at a homeless shelter. Challenge your bracket of thinking, right?
There you go.
Look
Yeah.
at like go literally find the most opposite of yourself, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because like even with all that money, yeah, sure, people like you have all of that money, you can do whatever you want, but those experiences that you get kind of mean more, because you sort of like limit yourself if you're just brought up in this way of thinking that like
Hmm.
if something happens, if it all ends, you won't know how to recover. So you're just limited in a certain way of doing
Yeah.
things, which is just going up and up and up and up and up. That's the only thing you know, and like the money and everything else is like secondary at that point
Yeah.
because you don't know about those experiences.
I
Those
mean,
experiences hold more at the end of the day.
exactly.
Yeah, I'll do my one quick. I don't need too many minutes, but that's all go on my rant. That's the biggest recommendation I can give for providing like creative security of like my hustle. And as I finally was able to fucking no more swearing, I was finally able to calm down this year. Because if I were to advise one goal to people with a creative vision, is to set up a way that you can work to the point that you're always going to have a job opportunity. So whether that's you're a visual artist, try to figure out how you can set up your skills in a way that you're just always going to be able to get contracts when you need them. That was like working to that point was what really created a sense of ease in the hustle because I didn't feel panic that, oh, it's literally all going to go away. Like right now, yeah, I could falter. I could lose the studio. It might not financially work, but I still have all the equipment. I now have all the skills. I can totally shift up my entire process without having to question if my entire creativity will fall out from underneath me because of it.
Yeah, I guess it's different for everybody because it's just like I don't. To me, it's like I like having a thing already created and then I'm part of it. I like because it gives me some security that like I don't have to sort of rely on because I don't have the same muscle skills as you do. And if I did, I would. And me talking about me, I have a stroke every day because Raza would have a stroke every day. But I do. Yeah, that seems to be. It's the high risk, high reward type of thing where like you're betting a lot on this, but when it explodes, it gets to the point where okay, I'm safe, I'm secure, right? That's the payoff. To me, it's just it's more about being there, being at a thing that's already consistent. I prefer consistency, so that's my security
Yeah.
is having that sort of like that routine over and over again. And
Right.
again, everybody's different. People may not like the consistency, but
Well, that's the truth. Like some people thrive in chaos and some people don't, and that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right? Bailey is one of those people that thrives very well in chaos. So, we can't all like,
But
look at Bailey and be like, "Why can't we do that?" Like some people it's no comparison, right? Some people thrive that way and some people need a different support system. Bailey's the
yeah,
kind of guy like Bailey needs to be punked off. If he comes to you and he's sad, like punk him off. It's the best way to like reset him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling you.
That's basically it.
I,
Yeah,
Ultimately,
yeah.
I just think that like it's if you do this content creation thing and if you want to make it a full-time thing, you just need to understand that like it isn't gonna be a fluid ride, right? There's gonna be a bunch of bumpiness all throughout.
Yeah.
This is what a lot of kids. It's what Aiden Ross sort of presents itself to be. Speed does that, but like, yeah, just join us and it'll be like you can get these deals, you can get millions of dollars outright. But what happens when it goes away? You know, kids younger than us sort of need to look in at and really think about
Mm.
this because this is a sort of a path that's it can be viable, but then it also can't be.
it's kind of like a athlete, like a NBA player coming out of high school. Like you're taking someone with no life experience and giving them millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden they're 40 and all the money's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
It's yeah. It's like if I was somebody who had that success, it's hard because my philosophy is like live as if you will never have that. You know what I mean? Because it's something that I've always said. Like my grandfather used to always talk about money and like was very crazy about money. And I used to always say to him, I'm gonna live as if what I have is all I'm ever going to have, and everything else is a gift. And that's just how I've kind of done things. So like financially, I just trust that I have what I need and I'll get what I need going forward. And I know it sounds so crazy to just be like trust the universe, but it's like really like take the pressure off yourself and just be like chug forward. Do the things in the motion that you're doing them and trust that you're doing the right things and like ask questions and ask for advice and all those things and don't be like you said if you want to double guess yourself ahead but just also trust that like you're going where you need to go just
Mm-hmm.
follow it. I know it sounds crazy. I trust me, I know.
I feel you. That's the tip I'm on, like literally right now. So I
Yeah.
totally
You're on
get you
tip.
there.
You're on
Yeah,
tip, Bailey.
I'm riding that tip,
You're
nice
on
and
tip.
close,
Yeah.
bud.
Gosh.
I'm making sure it's nice and oiled up for me, fam.
During the holy month of Black History, mind you. Um,
I don't think I can laugh at
no,
that
like
joke.
I, I can agree to all of that because like there is a where there is a will, there is a way,
Yeah.
and as long as you're able to like look at the world in a more positive way, the stress sort of melts away on its own.
Yeah.
Things I believe things happen for a reason. There's some sort of bullshit up there that's telling me to struggle all my life, which is great. God, stop giving me your strongest battles. I'm not your strongest soldier. Um, but like I do ultimately think there is a way for us to navigate all of this, but without losing who we are. Um,
Yeah.
and it's something that in people like Aiden Ross don't can't do. People like
Well,
So what I'm curious,
Chun
like,
can't do.
what about someone who pigeonholes themselves creative? So I'm jumping to the last point, kinda, but then also it's still very related. So it's like people could go viral off of something more singular and momentary, and then it
Yeah.
defines their career, right? Like how do you run away
Yeah,
from that? You know what I mean? Like I wrote here, I think of Rebecca Black, right? This girl was doing a PR tour all last year trying to develop hype for a new album, but still the only thing she could use was, oh, I was that Friday girl. You know what I mean?
well, I think she's smart actually in what she's doing. I think like
But so that's yeah, how
I
does she
feel like
like how's she I'm interested to hear.
in a weird way I feel like she's not a good example cuz
Okay.
she has found new success in her
yeah,
current career choices, and
Mhm.
she did the right thing of like using her failure to generate success,
yeah,
because she failed, she backed off, she worked on it and went forward. But
yeah.
if
And she
you're
also
asking,
disappeared too. Eh? She
yes,
also like completely
Thank you.
went off
exactly.
the yeah.
Okay.
But if you're asking me about someone who gets popular off a niche, I think more like TikTokers who do one shtick and they get very popular off that, and then the next 60 videos are all that shtick, slightly modified. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
Yo,
those
I
are the
recently came.
people.
Sorry, recently came across the Turkish guy who like shakes his belly and does that dance, and his belly
Yeah.
just goes, "Oh my god, it's insane! Hundreds of millions of views," and he just rubs his belly up and down.
It's
Yes.
yeah. It's these shticks, these like Salt Bay shticks, these
Yeah.
like very limited things that people do that pigeon themselves. They're a victim of their own success. Whereas
Yes.
Rebecca Black, she saw, she's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, and then she just dipped,
Yeah.
went off of the radar, and she came back. People were like, oh, you're actually talented. Never mind, we take everything thing back. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good example of what to do
Yeah.
if you want to not get if you want to escape uh that box you by accidentally put yourself in.
Exactly. It's
Okay, I feel
what
that.
I really what I really think about when I think about someone who does something like that with their careers, like if you get internet famous from one thing, like it's really kind of hard to move from that, because you're always going to be that person to people on social media.
Hmm.
But I think
Mhm.
what you should do is capitalize on that success. Say, okay, I did this one thing, it got me millions of views, people really loved it. I'll maybe do it like 3 or 4 more times just to get the last shits and giggles out. And then once you do that, just be honest with your audience and say, hey, those who want to see me grow and create and do fun and new and different, stay. If you don't, thank you for enjoying me at what you felt was my best. And maybe I'll see you in a few years. Like, don't pigeonhole yourself. Like, do the shtick if that's what you want to do for the little while. But then once you've garnered those followers, just know that people who actually like you, they'll stick around for your other content. And then you'll create what's called a new audience. And guess what? Those are very fun.
I think overall good advice, but I do question how easy that is. There are people
Not.
that definitely you'll get those diehard fans no matter what, but it's like
Hmm.
I'm very much a proponent of, especially now, the changing media landscape. Like, say if you're a TikToker and all of a sudden you want to go to YouTube videos, you'll get some going, but a large portion of that audience, it doesn't directly translate as easily. And I'm not talking obviously the multi-billion TikTokers. I'm talking some guy who has like 50K, some
Yeah.
50K
I
followers.
mean, but honestly, my advice to you is to not give a like literally. If you are successful on TikTok and you decide, okay, I want to move over to making YouTube videos, do it. Literally, do not worry yourself about how many people are going to follow you over to the new platform or not. Just do it. Like you've garnered success in some way. Use both platforms, but like don't limit yourself. If you want to do a different form of content or a different media thing, do it. Like don't
Mm-hmm.
stop yourself because what if people don't
Yeah, but I think you can make those choices later on in your career.
people
At
don't
the
follow you.
beginning,
There'll be
you
a small
sort of
group that will.
yeah, yeah.
Mm, I agree with you in some ways, Ron. If you're gonna keep doing the shtick, but you also want to
Mm.
do YouTube and the shtick.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
You know, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, like, uh, you should be able to like, yeah, just don't. Well, what we're doing as a brand,
Yeah.
we're not staying in one camp. We like it's sort of like because at that point you're gonna make yourself more safe. You know?
Yeah, like don't let
Mm-hmm.
the shtick stop you. Let it
Yeah.
contribute to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't make it a part. And like, unfortunately, not many people are gonna listen to this. But like people like again, like Salt Bay and people like that, they stick with that, and they run with it to the point where like that's all they're known for, and it's too late now for them to try something else because then they'll be associated with just that, and it sort of
Right.
limits them. Whereas we go back to Rebecca Black, she saw it early on and was able to say, "Okay, I'm done with this. I'm gonna do my own thing and then come back."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's tons of different strategies. The thing is, like, there is no blueprint for social media. Like, legit. I don't care what anybody. Sorry, Bailey. I don't care what anybody says about algorithms and this and that and like. Sure, there is some type of blueprint, but there's no real blueprint for success because there's tons of people who try and follow the quote unquote print and do all the things that they think that they should do and still
Yeah.
fail. Like
Yeah.
just do like serious like legitimately do whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. Like seriously, like do whatever it is that you feel like doing. Don't hold
Uh,
yourself back.
yeah, but like, and the key thing is what I'm finding out through my research is yeah, just keep on doing that, but also keep on being consistent. Even if your
Yeah.
videos get like 1, 2 views, keep on doing it because that's essentially how people do it. They're just doing it every day. Um, one like the main thing, yeah, the main thing is just to do it every as much as you can, but just be consistent because then it goes to show that like you are being you actually
Yeah.
care about this, you are actually doing it, it's helping the machine notice you more. It's just
Yeah, and
Well,
that's why I think it's important to combine like both of those. Like personally, it's taking that consistency and using the motivation of doing what you want at your core, but the focus is feeding the machine and developing trust. So you can
yeah.
navigate how you want to develop that trust. But that's say why you can watch an influencer like Ninja lose followers very quickly because you can depending on what field you take, it doesn't matter, but you need to develop that trust with the people who are your audience, even if you're just doing what you want or you're selling out. And I think that's like super critical to that formula functioning for the long term if you want to express yourself creatively.
yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. It took me a minute to
I just feel like
process that.
just like don't concern yourself with semantics. Like seriously, we spend too much time concerning like if I change, everyone's gonna unfollow me. Okay, so then let them unfollow you because
Mm-hmm.
other people are gonna follow you back for that. Like that's part of life. It ebbs and flows, right? People are gonna come
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and some people are so simple-minded that they'd rather just watch you do the same thing for the rest of your life. But why would you want to just keep doing that? Literally,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting
yeah,
a different result. Doesn't
Yeah,
work.
and it also like grow too. Like you can't just be in the same. Like you will
Mm-hmm.
always want to do more, and that helps if you change your entire flow of things. If you
Well, you're
change
gonna
your
stunt
entire
yourself.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
and then you
Like,
see people around you get bigger because they're adapting or they're
mm-hmm,
changing because
mm-hmm,
now they have seen a new. Now they're experiencing a new comfort. So that's yeah. You just gotta figure out what works and what doesn't, and then do it often. You know,
mm-hmm.
that's what we're doing, I guess.
So if you're listening to this podcast, we also do it live. You can tune in and watch us record this live. We actually have a very friendly chat. And for the month of March, we're going to be doing an entire marathon. So keep note. And I want to give a big gracious thanks for both Wine Mom's personal stories as well as the very helpful advice today. Thank you. Thank you again for being our mother.
Welcome.
All right, commercials. Be right back. Quick notice, guys. We're doing a marathon. March Madness is coming up, and since we're marching into madness, we figured why not try to push our own boundaries. So you can see this calendar here. We're going to be busting our asses to try to make something every single day of the month. We don't expect it to blow us up or nothing, but what we're hoping is we can learn what content works best for us and what we have the most fun doing. So tune in, try to enjoy the variety, and, tell your grandma about us. We're back, internets. This is our news section. Yeah, you may have seen a lot of movie clubs in our feed, but don't worry, this is going to be here for the meantime, and it's staying. So, Raza has some ad-libbed news, which flows excellently off of what we were talking about. What do you got for us today?
Adlib did not. So Aiden Ross, popular streamer and hero to many, Aiden Ross got permanently banned from Twitch, which is a
Hmm.
big one, big ban. The reason why he got banned, uh, he was simultaneously streaming on Kick, the new the new platform to compete against Twitch, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still in its early days, so there's a lot going on there. For example, streamer got banned one day for receiving a certain type of move on him. But anyways, on February 24th, Aiden got banned from Twitch for basically unmoderated chat coming from another platform.
Okay.
And this goes against Twitch's uh, guidelines. People were saying multiple racist rants. People were also saying um, uh, anti-Semitic stuff. They're being misogynistic. The typical stuff. He didn't condemn it. He didn't stop it. It was unmoderated, so the mods didn't do anything to combat it. And then he was hit with a ban. He he did he went silent for about a couple of days, and then he posted on his Twitch or his Twitter last night. There's only two genders, and that's also been uh, uh, j- uh, lumped into this. Now he isn't mad about this or isn't upset about this because he according to him he has his bot secured in Kick, which is, as I mentioned, in a more risque streaming service. Uh, Now the questions that I have for my fellow people here is that um uh if Aiden Ross does this and he jumps to Kick, is this showing that he doesn't really understand the backlash, or is he doing it just to be a typical shit poster? All right, go on,
Um,
go.
on top of the disillusion stuff that I know she's going to talk about, I think he is going through that spiral that she mentioned earlier. He's not stable. I read about interviews with his family, like his family says that he doesn't talk to them anymore, that he's
Mhm.
like isolated from them, that he's totally like changing as a person. So I think this is the exact downward spiral that Wine Mom was pointing at, and I think is a good additional, like, that his mental health does not seem to be in the best space associated with all of these negative things that he's doing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'm gonna go off.
get it.
Yeah.
Get it.
It's weird. I feel like it might be a of both. I feel like he has no fucking idea what to do, obviously, because he just lost a huge platform. Because this is the thing, I really don't care what anybody says about new social media, streaming platforms, or other streaming platforms. It's like old people know what Twitch is. Okay. So, like,
Yeah.
it is the biggest streaming platform. It's the most popular, most commonly used one. I mean, arguably, YouTube also has a streaming platform. So, if anything, it's neck and neck is those two things.
Mhm.
But I think that he just doesn't understand what these ramifications are actually going to be. That's what I
Yeah.
think it is. I think that he's I don't think he's panicked. I think he's chilling
Yeah.
because I think he's too stupid to like really understand the gravity of what's happened.
Okay.
And like even with the two genders thing and the tweeting, that's like that's minimal in his life repercussions because people say that kind of shit all the time. Not that I think it's okay, but it's
Mhm.
like people are going to keep saying that, and people who of that nature are going to say shit like that because he wants everybody looking at his tweets right now. This is the thing. He's not stupid, but he's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, "Okay, I just had this big failure." Which I don't think
Mhm.
he sees it as a failure. He's like, I just had this big failure and it's gonna give me an opportunity to have a shoe in with this new company because I can say, hey, now I'm gonna take my however many viewers and bring them to your platform. So he's saying, look, I found success in failure. Okay, possible, maybe.
Mhm.
Okay. But he also is thinking, how can I get everybody watching me and talking about me so that when I make this transition, everybody's going to be following what I'm doing. So let me
Right.
just tweet
Right.
Mhm.
some out of pocket bullshit because people are going to want to see the comments on that tweet. So a lot of people, because I guarantee you right now, a lot of people are engaging with that tweet. I'm sure people who didn't even know who he was before finding out who he is.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
kind of people that support that rhetoric and that ideology are going to start to follow and pay attention to him. So he's using it. He's using this opportunity to garner a new form of success. But
Mhm.
when you garner success in a manic episode, it's not success long term. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sort of like on the fence. Like, yeah, I do kind of agree with that because like look at because Twitch is a massive platform as you said for streaming, and like Kick is not anywhere near, but he's all doing this on the assumption it'll be big.
yeah,
But I don't think many people will just quickly go to Kick just because of one streamer. A lot
yeah,
of their streamers are still on Twitch, on YouTube, on uh, these uh, things. So and Kick is already having issues on its own because they're like you can say whatever you want, but then you also get banned for a certain amount of the internet isn't strictly to America; it's for the whole world. So
well,
I
yeah.
think
I mean, if Kick
And
is bringing him over, saying if Kick's bringing him over and they're like, you can behave however you want on our website, they're only going to create their own failure. Because here's the thing, and I think we get this: like censorship sucks, but censorship is kind of necessary in some because
mhm,
certain countries allow your content there without censorship. So
right.
it's like if you want to get some sort of message out there, it has to sort of covertly. So Kick's just gonna ruin themselves because they'll get banned in other regions and countries and stuff for allowing him to behave how he wants.
Yes.
But
I agree
I,
with that, sir.
well, it's just like to add to it, it's not a contrasting. I just also think he's dumb because he's watching his friends who have much more diverse source of incomes. Like he's watching who's can't say that name. He's watching the
Matrix
top
Boy.
G. Yeah, he's watching the Matrix boy uh somehow survive and stay afloat because he's got other sources of income. He's watching the Jordan Petersons. He's watching all of these different. He had an opportunity to interview Ye, so it's like his ego is so inflated to the point that it's like he's like, oh, I'll be cool because I'll just do X, Y, and Z. But it's like, are you sure it's gonna work that way for you?
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I feel it's so weird. I feel like it's not like this kid's ever gonna hear what we have to say, and like
No.
there'll be no learning from us. But it's like you're following somebody who's yet to have their real failure yet. That's the thing. It's like Top G, I'm sure he's had some failure to some degree, but he hasn't had his like true. Even with all the arrests and stuff on, he hasn't really had his true failure yet because there's too many people that are like hung up on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Like eventually he's gonna have a fading out moment where it's really gonna be something. I don't know when it's coming or what's gonna happen, but it will, right?
Yeah.
But this kid is following what he thinks is success. And he really has that mentality of like, if I just keep like smashing my head against the wall, nobody's gonna stop me because nobody wants me to smash my head against them, so they're gonna leave me alone while I just barrel through this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like
Right.
honestly, like, you know, not in a like, I don't wish ill will on anybody, and if success, I would like you to keep it, so do your thing. But he's just the kind of person, like, he's self-service. So like personally, I feel like do your thing, bro.
It's just like, yeah, like I don't think he will ever learn his lesson because I'm on his channel right now on Kick.
He will. He
And it's,
will.
I mean, not anytime soon.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't think
like anytime,
that.
like maybe in like 10,
Yeah,
5,
I
10
think
years,
this will
maybe.
be a crash as he becomes the old guy in
Yeah, when he's
this.
most comfortable in his stupidity is when
Yeah,
everything will come crashing down.
yeah.
So go ahead.
Um, and then like I think people like Hassan are like sort of like warning him, but like if you keep on doing this, you're gonna screw up, and you're not gonna become you're not gonna come back from this because like you're lost Twitch, which is his biggest one.
Yeah.
So it just I think that like maybe he needs this. Maybe he needs this like character development storyline, but it may not
Yeah, I
serve
mean,
him the way that I think it will.
I just feel like somebody like that, like his current, like, okay, I can give all the advice in the, right? But if
Mhm.
your current mindset is, I can't fail, then like, I go ahead. I can't help, like, no one's gonna be able to help you. And like, quite honestly, if you're an OG streamer or YouTuber or content creator, don't waste your time. Don't waste your breath. Like, literally, like, you owe that kid nothing. And quite honestly, if it was the other way around and you were the one failing, that kid would be
Yeah,
laughing at you. So like,
honestly, yeah, that's
let
the
him
thing.
fail.
Like, yeah, like if you are content for him,
Right.
if anything, like he looks
That's what
at
I'm
you
saying.
as like a money sort
Mm-hmm.
of
Because if you talk
person.
about him, what do you think he's
Yeah,
gonna do? Listen, you guys know I like
like
Hassan,
a
but
suit bump.
what do you think he's gonna do if Hassan sits up on his stream and talks about this kid for, you know, half an hour, and Hassan is not always the nicest, but and Hassan says some good contenty stuff for this kid to take and stream?
Yeah,
All
he's
Hassan has
gonna.
done, right, all Hassan has done is give his viewers the opportunity to go over and view this kid's content and spew their opinions in protection of Hassan. Like, it's not even Hassan, it's not even worth it, bro. Like, he's not
Yeah.
even, like, you're above that. You know what I mean? And like, be above that
Mhm.
and just be like, okay, I don't care. Carry on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do your
it all
thing.
becomes like a big old club at the
Yeah.
end of the
Yeah,
day. It all
yeah.
becomes this uh like people are helping other people platform other people. Like Hassan is flat out he's talking about him, keeping him in the eyes of the public, Twitch or no Twitch, he's still there.
Yeah.
It's a big old club, and it's what trips me out about it though is because like once you're at that point, like once you're at 100K followers, you're making $5,000 a month. We're not rich, but you can eat off of that, right? So by the time you're at these guys' level, you're making like multi-million dollars a year, and why do you need the club to make even more stupid millions? Like that's just too much money, bro. Why are you still stressing and making this old boys club and and keeping what's the point of this funnel, you know? Why does Hassan need to keep doing the shit that he's doing when he's not really like being the influencer that he sells himself to be?
Well, I don't think Hassan's intentions are one or the other, really. Like, Hassan is a commentary guy, so it's kind of his job to commentate on shit on the internet. It just so happens that it ends up being to his fault because you're promoting a shit poster to your genuine fan base, right? It's like sometimes like I struggle here, right, when we talk about certain things of like for the Gabby Hanna thing, for instance, when we had to go over that stuff when we were dealing with that and all of that, like it was a struggle for me because I was like, one, I don't want her to have any attention from anybody that like not that we're famous for Christ's sake, but I don't want to be pushing her content or encouraging people to see what she's doing. But at the same time, there's this like moral obligation to be like, it's kind of like this is why you shouldn't use the internet in this way, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's hard because how do you choose whether to talk about it or not, right? Because we know Hassan's gonna do it, we know Phil's gonna do it, we know Penguins is gonna do it, we know Leon Lush is gonna do it, we know like that Jason guy is gonna do it. Like we know all popular YouTubers and streamers, like they're all gonna talk about him. So it's like, how do you decide whether you're going to or not, you know?
Yeah, I think controversy is one of the biggest sort of like.
It's not even real. Like controversy is not even punishment anymore.
No, it's not. It's more like, oh, I have controversy now. Get ready to make more
That's what I'm
bang.
saying.
Yeah.
The better controversy is not even talking about it at all. Because I had somebody ask me the other day, like, I mean, it's different context from this, but somebody asked me, like, if something like happened to you and became big news and everybody was talking about it, it was being promoted everywhere, and like everyone's asking you about it all the time, and like your name is being put everywhere, and people are tweeting about you and tweeting at you, and all these things are happening to you. Like, wouldn't you respond in whatever type of fashion? And I was like, no,
Yeah,
because I personally would be like, I'm not giving you fuel for your fire. Like, go to your echo chamber and good luck. I'm not giving you that.
I think half of it is how you is a controversy, but the other half is how you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can be graceful about it, be like, I screwed up, you know. This is I messed up. I apologize. I will do whatever I can to fix it to make myself better person. Or it could be like Adin wants to be like, yeah, I don't know what happened though. I'm just gonna go on here on Kick now and talk the same thing and not learn anything. So it's I think if you're genuine enough, people will also see that, and that becomes a part of your image. Okay.
Yeah.
This person actually means what they're talking about, and that's also how you develop trust with your audience. Yeah.
So that's how, like, yeah, on that note, that's how I say, like a Steve Will Do It from the Nelk Boys got kicked off of YouTube and dragged everyone over to the one the Top G goes on Rumble. He got millions of dollars to go over to Rumble, and I think it's because of that, because he's very, very Trumpito-y, but he's genuine. He doesn't bullshit like he's on this extra. He just gives everybody millions of dollars, and that's who he is. So I think even though he has opinions that are less favorable in the public sphere, he's able to maintain and cultivate that audience through the genuine personality that he's portraying.
Right. Well, it's like the thing is, like, you could be shittiest person on the internet, but if you just don't address your controversy and you just carry on forward, you'll continue to be successful. And that's fucked up, but that's the
It
reality.
works.
It's
Yeah,
like if you
that's
just
yeah.
keep generating more shit around this, like okay, of your controversy, like we're tired of hearing about it over and over again, and then
Yeah.
that's when people start to unfollow you, block you. But if you don't talk about it and you let everybody else just scream into the echo chamber, like you're gonna be fine.
Like
Which is,
I
I hate to give that advice and I hate to say that and I hate to validate
yeah.
that behavior, but like that's the truth. Like the more you focus on it, the worse you make it. The less you focus on it, the quicker it goes away.
Like the amount of content creators that I've seen get in trouble for like the big ones like SA, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't even address it. They just keep on going, and
Yep.
they're like, and the community's like, yeah, more content for us. Just ignore the haters. You're
Well,
being
because
canceled.
well,
Karen's
'cause-
over here trying to cancel you. Yeah.
well, that's the thing, right? If somebody
Yeah.
accuses you of something and you give it no validity whatsoever, as like no response, no, like you literally just basically are like, that's not true, or I don't care, and move from it, people are like, oh, okay, I guess like it's not that big of a deal. But if you sit there and you're like tooth and nail talking about it every day, dragging yourself across the floor, trying to clear your name or what, like you're just creating way too
Yeah.
much chaos around it. And then people are like,
But
okay, this
even
guy's like trying way too hard.
Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, even then you have to find that balance because then you're at the point if you overdo it, you're sort of you are trying to victimize yourself.
yeah,
Exactly.
You're like, oh, yeah, and you you have these YouTube apology videos, start crying, but you have messed up, not the
Yeah.
person. So you sort of have to manage it in an adult way. Like the thing that comes to mind is when Jake Paul, not Jake Paul, well, the older one,
Logan.
Logan.
Logan. He went to Japan. He went to
Yeah, I did
very
the yeah.
specific forest in Japan. Uh, he sort of did it in a very graceful way, but at the same time he minimized the issue with making himself to be the victim. You know?
Well, that's
So,
he just blew it with his crypto thing that he just did because he came at
well,
CoffeeZilla and blamed the community rather than took responsibility. You know?
that was, I was just
Right.
gonna, that was what I was just gonna say. I think Logan Paul is the best example of how to get past the controversy is to like, I fucked up, and then come back and be like, okay, these are all the ways that I fucked up, and like I hold myself accountable for it.
Yeah.
Making the mistake again after fucked up again, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, like he handled that almost extremely well.
Yeah, like I I almost kind of wonder how much weight these apologies hold
Nothing,
after the first
nothing,
two.
nothing. They
You
mean
know,
nothing.
us Martian Madness, we're not gonna have controversies because I like my parents. I have a good relationship with them, and I don't want to embarrass them on online by being a dumbass, right? So, like, I look at that and I say, I have these values that I've been taught all my life by uh, my parents, and I'm not gonna just throw them out the window just to make a few bucks. Because in 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 the long run, I feel like that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because you are genuine to yourself, you're keeping consistent with yourself, and again, that's the trust that you sort of
So
build.
I agree with you, but I also think it's important to note that not everyone is impervious to failure of that degree, right? It's like it's not like you're net like it's not like you could literally say the most innocent thing and somebody could twist it on you and make a big
Yeah,
controversy. You know what I mean? Like you can't
yeah,
sit here and think that's never going to happen
yeah.
because
You
that's
can
not the
try.
solution, right? Right, that's not the
Yeah,
solution. The solution is that if that should ever happen, being more than prepared to go and apologize and own up and understand that. And it's like I think like on this podcast because we've talked about this a lot is like I've said it before like if I'm wrong about something like if we're wrong about something and somebody, points us out for it, like I'm more than willing to hear about it and then, constructively change myself and move forward. Like you're never done growing. You're never done learning. And I've said this before as well, like I don't know everything. I'm never going to know everything. I'm never going to have the perfect opinion. So
See,
like I'm accepting that I'm not going to be perfect and I'm willing to work on myself and communicate with my fan base, you know what I mean?
and I think that's ultimately the hardest part of the self growth to teach people, because that's also outside of the bounds of the life experience
It's
that you were outlining before. Because that humbleness, that's like a
it's ego.
cultural value that,
Yeah.
like, it's got to be passed down to you to learn to be humble. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the thing is like you can't have true like I've said this before and I've heard other people who I know that are very successful have said this to me is like if you don't have an ego death at some point in your life, like you're just it's not going to work. Like you if you're too wrapped up in your ego, your life perspective is just so pigeonholed. It's just not good. Like you have to be able to handle things gracefully because like don't get me wrong, I hate being wrong, and you guys know that. Like I will argue with you until I have 0 points left. Like I've done that on this podcast before. I will do it
Yeah.
again. like I will argue with you until I literally cannot fight back anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's a bit of my ego, but it's like at the end of the day, like eventually you have to go, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe you do have a point. As much as it sucks to not always be the most correct person in the room, like put your
Mm-hmm.
ego away.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's sort of like we all want to be the main character, it's
Yeah,
but it's like how do
it's
you
just true.
humble
It's true.
yourself?
It's so
Yeah, yeah.
true.
It's true. So that flows well. Same topic, same journey. That's my news story. Can I hop
Oh
in
yeah, I
on
forgot
mine?
Bailey. We
Yeah.
haven't even we forgot
So
Bailey
that it segues
has one.
perfectly, actually. So yeah,
Okay.
this gentleman. I'm here to update you about someone who also wanted to be the main character because he always pretended he was. So Dilbert dabbled too much. Where I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet so I can report it objectively, and then I'll slam you with my opinion after. Dilbert, the man's with the weird tie, like the cartoon character. He's in office. He's got the square head. He's got the curly hair. It was in every comic strip in newspapers. Like, yeah, you remember those, like a
The TV show
newspaper
too, right?
comic strip. Oh yeah, it was. It was a cartoon back in the day. I forgot that. So over the years, the creator Scott Adams has expressed public support for a variety of like right-wing influencers and politicians. So also, I wanted to note, if you didn't know, he's so self-obsessed he made his house look like Dilbert, his famous character. Now, whatever. So skip to now. He was on a show called Real Coffee and was asked about a Rasmussen poll, which asked Americans how they felt about the phrase, quote unquote, "It's okay to be white." White.
Oh boy.
Welp.
Should I just leave now?
From here, he chose to say a couple controversial statements, which I'm not even going to repeat here because we want the YouTube gods to still like us. So you can look that up. His name is Scott Adams. There's headlines everywhere, creating immediate chaos on Twitter and within the prehistoric newspapers that used to run these comic strips. Finally, now this is the line that they've drawn in the sand. Yeah, this is it's
Yeah.
okay to be white. They're saying no more Dilbert. And of
Yeah.
course, Elon came out in support of him on Twitter, but that's not bad reporting. That's just Elon fact. So now our personal opinion part. Now that we're there, I think we've made it clear through these convos like where we fall on that line. So we don't need to go too hard on like Scott Adams, Dilbert, right wing stuff. I wanted to start light with it first. Do you even remember Dilbert Wine Mom? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm literally googling it right now.
The
No.
lightest quote I can say that he said that was light work was he said, every white American should stay away from black people.
Yeah, I literally just read that.
I
Yeah.
read that he identified as a black man.
Yeah, so that's
Is that
he's He's been in heavily, yeah, he's done really weird, controversial shit. He's gone off the fucking rails before. He's been outspoken supporter of like Milo Yiannopoulos and other people who spread literal hate speech. So it's like really weird in terms of showmanship from the media because he's been an outspoken influencer about much worse. But I find it uncanny that as we're leading up to an election, that all of a sudden they're like, okay, nah, this guy, now he's being too much. Now we need to start a controversy up so that we got to get this culture war started, get the pot a boiling in the Western media.
Yeah, yeah. And then because of that, he's like, what? Nobody. His book is canceled now. A bunch
Yeah.
of publications. Yeah. Okay.
He's finally out of the newspaper strips. So it's just when I, first off, starting light, again, now that I gave some perspective, is like how many kids this guy, that's why I think it's a fake news story. I don't want to say fake news story because that makes me come off as too out there, but that's why I think it's very much part of sparking the culture war up, because how many kids even know what the fucking newspaper comic is? Ain't nobody read
Yeah,
Calvin
exactly.
and Hobbes no more. There's no one under 25 who's ever seen a comic strip in a newspaper.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm kind of concerned about because it's like nobody knows who he is. So why is he saying all of these outlandish things outside of the boomer demographic?
And why is it the main headline across the media other than to start a culture war? Because otherwise no one cares about this dude. Like, I mean, he's been syndicated for how long? He's been supporting X, Y, and Z people for how long? And now let's write the big article about him, even though there's been a million exposés from The Guardian, The Times, the this, the that over the past decade. You can go find them.
Yeah.
So what is the question, Bailey? What is your ultimately? Because I hear you. What are you ultimately?
So that was first.
topic of him, right? Like
what?
what are we trying to get to?
Yeah.
Well, first off,
Because
like
you
how
made
many?
all your points in your comment, right?
Yeah.
ahead.
I was waiting for you to get briefed, and I was just going because I knew you were reading. It was first is like how many kids? Why is he being brought up? How many kids even know about who the fuck Dilbert is? Why is this like the main melting point? Because it's not like Dilbert is a cultural character. Why do you think this is being highlighted so thoroughly?
Well, first of all, I think it depends on who is highlighting it. I don't know how to address this. Right. So his character, like his person, like who he is, right? Not the Dilbert character, his personal character,
Okay.
right? Is not modeled for the young person. It's not. It's modeled for those opinionated, closed mind old fucks who never changed their opinions over the
Alright.
years.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people that he's for. But
Yeah.
this situation, because anything that has to do with media and anything that has to do with politics, because that seems to be the only fucking thing that people talk about or care about on the fucking internet anymore, is politics. So it's gonna make its rounds because it's a political statement. Everything he said is grotesque. That's the reality. If
Yeah.
that's your opinion, then you're quite fucking ignorant, and literally your career wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the backs of black people. But go off, sweetie, like feel how you feel. Go ahead and stay away from them because I'm sure they don't want anything to do anyways. So like, okay. I think it's just another moment in time where we talk about an old idiot who doesn't know when to shut the fuck up about their shitty opinions. Somebody
Yeah.
dragged him out of the dirt for whatever reason, or he was doing some sort of press for some stupid thing that he's doing, which is like whatever. But it's like he's for the old people, not for the young people. So I feel like it's just another opportunity for young people to embarrass an old idiot. That's just like what it feels like. Now, it's a political stance that is a valuable political stance, of course. Like, that sucks. That's shitty. People shouldn't be talking about that. Like, it's 2023. Like it. Just move on. Like, if somebody said to me, what do you feel about it's okay to be white? I'd be like, I don't care to talk about. Like, that's irrelevant to me. Like, It's like not a conversation I need to entertain. Like I'm confident and comfortable in who I am and what I represent, that I don't need to have that conversation. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's just an insecure old man who doesn't feel good
I
about
would.
his place in the world or his place in politics or his success, that he's
Mhm.
just flushing himself down the toilet. So like I
I.
in a in the nicest way possible, this is relevant to talk about. So don't think that I'm saying that. I don't care. That's how I feel about this. If I
Mhm.
saw this come
Yeah.
up on my feed, I'd be like, I literally don't fucking care. Like, I literally don't care.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's he's uh, it's just manufactured outrage, right? He's
Yeah,
just
Mhm.
doing it at
something
a
to talk
specific
about.
time. Yeah, like it's and then it's something for him to. It's like the Simpson thing where it's old man yelling at cloud,
Yeah. So if
right?
it's
Yeah.
like,
I feel it's the same energy.
if we're doing old man yelling at cloud, why are we talking about old man yelling at cloud now? That's what I'm curious about, because I guarantee I could pull up an interview with this guy from a year ago, from 6 months
I
ago, where
guess
he
because
said
yeah,
just as bad
he
shit.
hasn't
Okay, so
he
I'm
hasn't
gonna
been.
tell you
Yeah,
the reason why it's being talked about and the being why it's being said is that like the reality is that like people are tired. That's why. Like like the black community specifically, like they're tired. So they're like, we're done not calling people out. And it's like at this point, this guy had nothing. No one was paying him any attention until this interview.
This
So people are
this
like, okay, if we're doing this, then we're gonna do this. If you want to do this, like we're doing it then, you know?
he's been bare ass racist for years now.
But that's what
but
I'm saying. No, I have not heard anything about his race antics literally until this very moment. I had no fucking care in the world about who he was. It was completely irrelevant with at least with the last 10 years. So,
Can I hear what you think, Raza? Do you think it has to tie into politics or any timely events other than just people catching it all of a sudden because he's relevant?
I think it's like a little bit of everything. It's just
Yeah.
he's trying to do it to strum up something. He wants to get people angry, and even his right wing friends are saying, "The hell are you talking about, you loony?" Um, so it's like I think the reason why we're hearing about it now is because it's the wording he's using and the way he's presenting himself. He's like calm about it, but he's like, yeah, like he's racist, but he's just like, I'll say these things, but in an eloquent way where it sounds even worse, and that's why it's even more, it's getting more attention on it. And then, but I'm just puzzled that like, yeah, this we've been knew about his political affiliations and the way he thinks for since Trumpito has
Yeah.
been in the political um, realm. So why are they getting angry now?
yeah.
To
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, because you guys did bring up all controversy is good controversy, so maybe he's watching his other rich friends and going, well, maybe I stir the pot a bit. I'll join the ranks, Geordie boy over
Honestly,
here.
I don't even think it was that. I think it just like happened to be like a weird it was like a weird set of events that just so happened to give this guy the opportunity to say something, cuz whoever asked him that question, like they knew exactly
Oh yeah,
where this was
Yeah, yeah,
going.
yeah,
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
yeah.
why did you even bother, you know? Like who cares what that
I
guy
know.
has to say? He has
Yeah.
no influence in like
Well, he does to a
care.
degree, but not in
Yeah.
What,
our.
for the old people who
Yeah,
have
for the older
walkers?
people.
Okay.
Okay.
So scared of you with your
He's got he's got his
oh
diehard, like those right wing people all operate in a very insular community, so they're very big amongst each other. There's like micro celebrities, like the girl who got kicked off of Star Wars. We think she's like a nobody, but in like in their sphere, she's still super relevant. So like it's the weird bubbles of this guy
So
like somehow
irrelevant.
still irrelevant to the majority of culture. But so that can we all sign off on Dilbert sucking?
Yeah.
All right.
I
Yeah.
don't care.
And then like his agent dropped him, the publication dropped him. So many things have happened to him, and it's kind of weird that like it's why are you hanging on to this? His pandemic conspiracy theory was another thing that would have been like red flaggy, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, c'est la vie. Let's not drown in our tears that capitalism is corrupting everything. Sorry, what?
in his last tweet, he said, "Black conservatives have a
Yeah, I
great,
saw
have
that.
have been great to me this week. Much respect." So he's like picking and choosing who's
Yeah.
who can.
As always. Oh, do you
As-
believe in my politics? You can't be that bad even.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh my
and
God.
then
Okay.
it goes back to our victim complex talk. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it to ads, and then we're gonna get off the sad train. We'll be right back. Are you listening to the audio version of this? Awesome. Did you hit the download button though? We need that download button. Maybe a review on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, any of those could help out. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, head over to Spotify, hit that download button. You can take us on the go. If you've watched this film, you don't necessarily need to see the video version. Just hang out with us, tune in. We can be your going to work content. If you'd so trust us, we would like to extend our loving offer of wasting our lives once a week. Appreciate you.
No,
I know, I feel like he's gonna D's nuts us any second now. But so
It's
we're
not.
back.
it's not. It's what it is. I feel like it is a meme to me though, but apparently it's like there are rumors.
We're back, and Raza's got a good pop up for us on these rumors that I would like to hear. What is it,
Rumors.
Raza?
Who do you think? Okay, so I'm gonna ask my co-host, and if chat wants to jump into this, they can also jump into this. But who do you think Pete Davidson's new arm candy is? I want to
If you're
objectify.
saying if you're saying going after Megan Fox, like
No, that's
The
that's older
MGK.
now.
Can't fight it with MGK, bro. They're two
Yeah.
blondies. Nah, it can't happen.
no, but MG and Pete are friends.
Exactly.
It can happen.
But they
It's
were
someone.
having
It's gonna
disputes,
be
though.
someone popular. It's
Yeah,
gotta be
but
some
that's untouchable.
Yeah.
Pete Davidson. I don't know my celebrities good enough, so I don't know names. I'm trying to think of who's relevant in the media right now.
Tom Brady's wife.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm with Wine Mom. Tom Brady's ex-wife. Yeah,
I need to see Tom Brady's wife. I've not seen her.
She's
I
a
vote
model.
Tom Brady's ex-wife. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I could say this. Okay, you both get two more guesses.
I don't know who's single right now.
Yeah, I don't know enough
Don't
about
matter.
celebrity shit.
It's Hollywood.
Avril Lavigne.
Close.
Pink.
Very
Pink.
close.
Pink.
Very close. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. So there is a rumor. I don't know how valid this is, but there's a rumor that Pete Davidson could be a munch.
No,
What?
what? No, isn't she too young? No, she's just of
Wait,
age, isn't she?
hello? I'm confused.
Ice Spice.
Ice Spice.
Oh, that girl.
Yeah.
Oh,
SpongeBob
I don't care.
SquarePants.
I don't care
Rhythm?
about that.
Okay.
I'm
But
sorry.
other
I'm
than
sorry
that-
not to be rude, but
You're
like,
too old.
I don't,
You're too
I don't
old. Too
care.
washed. I'm an old head. I'm
I've
washed.
I've seen the music and I've seen the hype, but I just don't. I don't care.
I don't particularly like it either. I'm just making fun of you because all the
Yeah.
kids love
Like,
it.
whatever.
It went
I
from
mean-
that Emily girl and stuff to.
It went from Coil Ray to Ice Spice, which is
Coil Ray,
just as
yeah.
bad, bro.
I feel bad for Pete though, because he's ran through not by his own will.
What?
I
What?
don't know about
He
that.
literally.
What is
said-
this, dog?
Okay,
No.
No, it's depressing because Pete
Alright.
has literally. Okay, this is the problem. I low key have sympathy for Pete because of the connection to Mac.
Because
Circle thing that's happened. No, that's not why. It's because he dated Ariana.
Yeah, no,
Actually,
you're
was
right.
engaged to her right after stuff with Mac. And anyways, it's complicated, and I don't feel like digging up the triangle right now. But Pete has come out and said on multiple occasions he feels like that he's just meant to be the rebound guy that like women spend time with, and then when they feel like they're healed, they let him go. And that's a very sad life to live. So I have sympathy for him for that, because that's clearly what his dating pattern currently looks like. So
Yeah,
hopefully
but
he'll find love and stop slanging
he
it every.
goofy though.
I mean, he's an idiot in his own right.
He goofy though.
Yeah. Oh, he's a goofy boy. But so, thank you for your Pete interjections. I appreciate that, Raza. Now we can be hip with the Karens. It's good to know who's going to be on Jimmy Fallon next week. Thank you.
Oh, God.
Well, come on.
Anyways.
That was a good jab. Come on.
To who? Me or to
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon? Oh,
Well,
no.
to both. Okay, well, either way.
I like Jimmy Kimmel.
You're a Kimmel mans?
I'm a Kimmel man, yeah.
My grandpa always was a Kimmel guy, so I'm kind of biased to the Kimmy.
Good.
All right, so guys, do you know what we did this previous week? We started a new show, and we've been watching movies, haven't we, Raza? Just say yes.
Yes.
I need you to say yes. Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
not validating you anymore.
Last week we watched Pitch Black, and that video is actually on our YouTube channel, the fully edited version.
My mom's favorite movie, by the way. She loved Pitch Black.
Oh, she loved Pitch Black.
5 stars.
If you want to know, our boy Vinny Boy stars in the lead role in his first movie as Riddick. So if you're a weeb like us, you might know the Chronicles of Riddick. Next week, actually, we're doing our live stream for the next episode. We're watching Bad Times at the El Royale, which is new to me. I haven't seen it. I'm interested to see what kind of vibe it is. But
I'm so hyped to see it.
Yeah, I think you guys will like it.
I'm so hyped to see it.
Raza will definitely love it. Bailey, kind of a wild card.
it'll be a medium, I think. We'll see. I will enjoy it overall, I think. It looks like it's well shot. But the main point of that is that we want to take a break from the madness and give you a reason to engage with content intentfully. So if you're looking to explore some new artsy things, like we were just saying at the start of this, engage your brain in a meaningful way and art for art's sake. So, Wine Mom, I got one question for you about Movie Club, and that's it. One single question. Okay? Mm-hmm. How did it feel to be back in a creative space when you were so opinionated about the film?
It felt like I was in a torture device and fighting for my life. If the truth be known.
Good ad.
Because I said, I'm not watching stuff I don't want to watch. And I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of that. And you guys know what that means. A lot of opinions.
If you want to ignore your intrusive thoughts, Raza, who can they watch all month? Who's making content all month?
We're doing it every day. We're doing March Madness. We're going to be watching the NCAA every single day.
Every day?
Yeah, and some.
You guys are gonna have to listen and look at these idiots every day.
Every day. This is why in our calendar it shows our entire schedule.
Yeah. The tweet of the week. Raza gave us a serious one. I have to read this every week, and I love my life. It is on screen now, and the tweet reads, "Drinking this boba got all these balls in my mouth." It sounds like an LA rapper lyric. It sounds like something like Drakeo the Ruler would say. Drinking this boba got all these balls in my mouth. All right. Either way.
Rolls the tongue like the ball in your mouth.
Chat flying through with the pauses. Appreciate it. All right. So if everybody, I just mentioned chat. If you're listening to the recorded version of this, you know what we do? We do this live. So you like this content, you want to interact with us a bit more personally, we actually hang out afterwards and vibe out with y'all. So come tune in. Raza, where can they find us? I don't really have anything else to say.
You can find us. What's your home address, Bailey?
1 Bloor Street, West.
1 Blower Street. You can find us there.
Idiot.
No. You can find us on TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube's, all that good stuff. And we're going to be making this. We're going to be making this our career very, very soon. So look out for that in the near future.
Yeah, we're not going to crash and burn. Don't worry. This isn't a documentation of our demise. Don't worry. Wine mom. Yeah, leave him with a gem before we go.
Oh my gosh, I have not done that in so.
Fucking
I don't
do
know
it,
if I'm
Mom.
capable. Go outside. That's what I'm gonna leave you with. Go outside and get a journal. Write every day. Or don't. It's up to you.